So this is a fight against Nang Hong, Liang Prasert, who I fought one time prior to this, and I beat her. And I remember her mom was like shouting at the ref after the fight because she felt like he had not kind of broken us enough in the later parts of the fight. But she's much bigger than me. She's maybe like 54 kilos. And she's kind of a superstar up in the north, somewhat newly so. Like, she's been around for a long time. And she fought the phenom in the north, Cherry Gore Twin Gym, many, many times. Like, so many times those two were matched up that I don't think anyone knows the actual number that they fought. But Nang Hong never won against Cherry. And then recently, like maybe a month or two before this fight, Nang Hong beat Cherry, and it was this huge deal, and then Cherry retired. And so Nang Hong is kind of on like a winning streak, and her confidence is really up. And she was doing really, really well up in the north. Her gym, Liang Prasert, all the girls are named Hong something, so it means that they're named for birds. So it's like their gym is like a menagerie. She's a little bit unusual in that she wears a lot of makeup in the ring. She's been doing that for a number of years now, maybe 3 or 4 years. And she's kind of known for it. And she's just one of these types of female fighters that I just don't jive with. I really don't like her attitude. You'll see at the beginning when she's like circling the ring, you can see the brattiness that she kind of brings into it, and that's just not something I dig, but it's definitely a type, and it is it goes into the fighting, and they can be quite successful in their performances in that way. So this is like our rematch, basically the second time we fought, but our first fight prior to this was quite a long time ago. So I wasn't really sure how we were going to match up, but I had beat one of her teammates, I think a month before this, and so her coach was kind of like putting me up in weight against his fighters each time I fought them. She has quite a long Muay. It's actually pretty nice. I think you can see it in other fight videos between the two of us. But there are different schools of thought of what you do when your opponent has a really long Muay. Some people will keep facing their corner and not look at their opponent's Muay the entire time. So you might be just like staring off and stretching for a good 2 minutes. I like to turn around and watch and see what they're doing after a little bit. But you can see our size difference. She's heavy in the legs. This is Pidang in my corner from Lana Muay Thai. It's an awesome corner. And you'll hear some people screaming in the audience. I think there were people who had come to see me who know me through my blog, so there were people cheering for me, which was really nice. I've had this ref a gazillion times. I like him quite a lot, actually. He's very grumpy. I think that Dang is just telling me watch out for her kick. He's seen her fight 100 million times up in the north. She's been around for so long. That's someone yelling, "Go Sylvie." That's pretty awesome. People know me. So we're just starting off, and again, it's been a long time since I fought her, so I'm very different in the way that I fight from the last time I fought her, but still a clinch fighter. I'm going left, which I have a hard time remembering to do in some fights. But she loves to do this like posting and teeping thing that I started interrupting by kicking her with my lead leg. I'm basically just forcing her off her spot a little bit so that she's off balance. That was a good long left. You can see her attitude as she responds to things like that. She's very well trained and established in her performance of acting like things are funny or didn't affect her or anything like that. It's a big part of fighting in Thailand. That little hop, that like not a problem thing. So she's a backwards fighter more or less all the time, and she'll just kind of do these bursts forward. But I hadn't clinched her in forever, and I'm pushing on her and like rolling her, and it was like incredible that it was so easy to move her at her size, because when I train with the boys at my gym who are bigger than me, they're really strong and they know how to clinch, so I can't move them. So she's not a clincher. She knows how to clinch, but she's not amazing at it. So it was amazing for me to be able to move her like that. She just cut me. My head was turned to the right as I was coming in to grab her, and she did a lead left elbow, and it landed just above my eyebrow. And I managed to put her down again. So this is a good round for me, even though it's just the first round, but now I'm bleeding quite a lot from my forehead. And you can see she's just backing up and waiting to try to throw that elbow again. So it's basically like her waiting, backing up game versus my coming in and knocking her down game. But I actually have stifled her elbows pretty well after that one coming in. Being cut in the first round sucks. It just means it's going to be there for the rest of the fight. You can see how big it is when Dang is like wiping the blood off. It's just above my eyebrow there. This guy in the corner likes to help with me. His name is Muay. He was a trainer at the Chai gym. And there's a photo of him, like a poster-sized photo of him in the back of the gym, of the stadium, with his face covered in blood. So I feel like we're like simpatico. But watching Dang and how he deals with the cut is very instructive. You just keep wiping it, putting pressure on it, then you put some ice, and then you just slather so much Vaseline on it. But he's basically now just telling me to keep my hands up and keep going forward, because I was doing really well in the fight. But I have to protect that cut and just go in. And I felt like I could knock her out because of how well I was doing stalking her down. Big old tub of Vaseline. So you have to dry it off with the towel, and then the ice is to kind of like reduce the swelling as much as you can in the 40 seconds that you have. And then you just glob the Vaseline on, and it does kind of like fall off as you're fighting, but it stays with its base layer under there. I felt okay. Like, I didn't feel like this was a significant cut. It was a good elbow, and it was very well placed. So I just felt like I had to protect that side and keep coming in and clinching her, because she could not clinch with me. She was getting ragdolled. So starting into round 2, I knew I kind of had to like go get her. So I think I was kind of going for like a knockout, or to just overwhelm her. She's doing this like she's in like a 4th or 5th round, even though this is the 2nd. She's just going to back up and try to score. There's an urgency now because of my cut. Throwing an elbow there. She's trying to snuff me, and she does this thing in the clinch because she doesn't really know how to clinch super well. She'll dig her chin into your face, and she's actually trying to dig it into my cut to like make it bigger. It's a really good strategy. I'm trying to pull her off the ropes there, and she's trying to stay on the ropes. So I need to go a little bit faster. Like, I really need to be in like knockout mode. She threw another elbow at me there, so I threw one at her coming back, which I'm proud of. I don't always elbow back at people. You can see the blood on her shorts. I was bleeding a lot. It was getting all over both of us, but I'm wearing black, so who cares? So I'm bleeding so much, the referee has me go over to the doctor. And when the doctor comes up to check your cuts, you have to show enthusiasm that you want to keep going. So I'm telling him, why die, like I can keep fighting, I want to keep going. And he's wiping it to see how much it's bleeding and where it's going and all that stuff. I'm telling him I really want to fight. And he waves it off because ultimately the cut had gone into a vein and it was very deep and it wasn't going to stop fighting. He told me afterwards that if this had been a 4th round, he would have let me keep going, but to be bleeding all the way through the fight from round 1 with that much blood was too much. I was super pissed. I don't like when doctors call fights from cuts because you can always keep fighting with a cut. It wasn't going in my eyes or anything. And on top of that, I was definitely controlling her in that fight. So to be winning a fight and then lose on the cut sucks. But so at Taipei, you just kind of go back to this room just behind. That's Pet Lila in the camo shorts. She's from the Petchrungruang gym. I adore her. She's a clinch fighter, and she thinks that my cuts are the most amazing things ever because she got cut once on her lip, and it was like the scariest thing ever for her. So she sees me bloody often and thinks it's like amazing. So you come back here and the doctor kind of cleans you up and stitches you just on a table back here. I think that Kevin's dealing with the dog or something, trying to like get Jaidi in order so that he can come back here. Jaidi wears a muzzle when I'm fighting and he hates it, so he just drags his face along the ground while Kevin is moving him, so he's very hard to move. So I have this huge cut on my face and I'm saying jeep jeep, which means like I was just flirting, like it's no problem. And Pinoy thought that was really funny, but you can see how deep the cut is. It's just perfectly placed. It just happened to be a bad spot. And this doctor stitched me up as well as he could, and then he told me I had to go to the hospital to get more stitches. And Kevin and I were like, that's ridiculous. Like, I'm not going to go to a hospital after I already got stitched. But it wouldn't stop bleeding, even though it was already stitched, because it was cut into a vein underneath. So ultimately, I had to end up going to the Chiang Mai Ram hospital and getting more stitches from a surgeon who like put them in deeper. They're the most painful stitches I've ever gotten, but I was like so ready for vengeance. I wanted to fight Nang Hong again immediately, and I did not get to because her coach was like, no way. But I did get a rematch with her. It just took a while to get there, and I won. I smashed her.